Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where we're going to be doing a reaction and review to Deadman by BiSH. And you know how this works already if you've been on this channel since we had to reopen and everything, just the way that YouTube has to run it now. If you want to see the reaction, I just did it, and you can open up a separate YouTube player by clicking the link in the description below and see the reaction first of all, because I'm about to give you the review. So pause this video if you haven't seen my reaction yet and you want to see it, click the link in the description below where it says watch reaction, and then come back. Are you ready? Here comes the review. Have you just unpaused me after watching the reaction? Okay, here's the reaction. Sorry, the review. This is the review. Basically, this one, as you would have probably gathered if you were watching the aforementioned reaction, really appealed to me on the level of... Okay, if this is the first song I ever heard by them, I would think it was really charming and fun, but I don't know how much it would reel me in. But as someone who's heard them before so much, this really does appeal to me on a lot of levels. And I gathered by looking at them, I think they had I can't remember everyone's names even now, but I think they had the member who was in there only right at the beginning. So I'm assuming this is a very, very early single. So anyway, and also one of the reasons why it probably doesn't come up on many of the YouTube searches, it's a bit of a harder one to find. This song benefits from a sort of freedom of identity, a sort of madness. Now, that can either appeal to you or not. Like I said, I think it's rather beneficial after you already know quite a bit about the group, after you've heard the group quite a lot. Although, like I know that ironically, a lot of the songs that I'm using as comparison wouldn't have come out before this, almost certainly. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The thing which makes this really interesting is with that sort of freedom of responsibility that maybe comes from being a newer group, they've gone for this sort of full-on punk song, and it does remind me a lot of the one, I always forget what it's called, but the one which is basically about death, where they're saying the word for death in Japanese quite a lot, and it's got the zombies and everything. That one. It reminds me of that because it also has that sort of distorted feel. But this one, whereas that kind of has more of a darker, more metal, experimental metal feel to it, although it has a lot of grungy and punky elements, this one does just feel like straight punk. Now, the question is, how do you do a punk song like this without slipping into the territory of basically just doing punk? And of course, although there's nothing wrong with punk, punk is basically at its core, it's all about the rebellion. It's like, we're not going to write complicated music, it's just blasts of sound, which is why punk has a lot of songs that are quite indistinguishable from one another, musically at least. So how do you do that, and how do you make it different? Well, what they've gone for here is they've really, as BiSH always do, used the quality of having several singers who all have quite unique vocal styles. And they've amplified it in this case by using quite interesting vocal production. Now, there's three techniques that seem to be used here. One is the presence of just having normal sung vocals, done in your normal sort of studio way. The other one is having those distorted vocals, and then also the element of using sort of reverb, like the sound of the natural reverberation, natural echoes of a room. That's usually, on most recordings, that's usually completely faked by a computer. Because it's very easy to do totally naturally with computer effects. Using that to make the recordings, to make the voices either sound further away or closer to the listener than they actually are. There seems to be a lot of playing with those three styles. And that's quite effective, because what you get is when you have the distorted vocals, they sound more closer. Usually there's no reverb to speak of on distorted vocals. They sound closer and they sound distorted, so they sound less clear. Whereas the vocals that sound a bit more distant also sound clearer. So it kind of gives everything a bit more of a level playing field, and also gives your ears more to tune into. But these are also sounds that are regularly associated as being punky sounds, because obviously you think of like someone screaming in the microphone so loud that it distorts it, and back in the sort of early days of punk, that was a common sound you'd get, or people deliberately overloading the microphone, or bad recording studios where people would just be performing in a room, the whole band to a microphone on the other side of like their friend's garage, and as a result, you'd have like a distant sounding vocal. These are very punk sounding things to do with vocals, but they nicely use them in that they interweave them, they wove them together. You had cool and answer vocals which were done in different production styles. So the backing was just basically charging along power chords, distorted guitar, drum beat, nothing, everything had a lot of energy, but nothing really punched through. It was just one, basically the backing was basically just one thick, creamy, angry punk sound. as is usually the case with punk. And that basically gave you all the energy and charge you needed. And then to give the song identity and to give it sort of characteristics that make it interesting to listen through to, that was all done through really interesting use of the vocals, choice of who was singing what, choice of how the style worked, having it a little bit sort of crazy, throwing in, as always they do, their personalities into the vocals. So there's that element of slightly overacted madness. This song had all of the energy and simplicity and punch of punk, whilst also having the attitude and individuality of a group like this, of singers who can put personality into a song and have individual vocal styles. I guess that's the best way to sum it up, really, after all that waffle I just did. So I think there's no doubt that it worked on that sense. And it also had the wisdom to know that it was basically a punk song and therefore keep it to a minute and a half. I mean, 2 minutes for a punk song is actually probably quite long for old school style punk. So bringing it down to a minute and a half, that's pretty fair territory for a punk song. And it felt good. I loved as well that they decided to wrap it off. Before they went to that final bit, they had like a crescendo. It actually built to a crescendo. It had basically a chorus. Only played one time. That's fine. That was enough. Where that was the bit where the vocals cleared up and sounded more normal, where they started singing together, and it had a bit more, the rage kind of gave way for more of a melody. Perfect. I mean, they really, like I say, executed a perfect demonstration of how to do a punk song in every way a punk song, but also very much leave the mark of being them. So I think it was the perfect amalgamation of the two things. Not for everyone, obviously, you have to be into that kind of thing. And also being a short, sweet song with one chorus and a lot of rage, then it's obviously not also going to be the sort of thing that maybe people would regularly re-listen to. I do, however, think it's definitely worth it. And I do think it's one that I'll be happy to come back to on a fairly regular basis, especially if I'm listening to like a rocky or punky playlist or something with a lot of tempo. Also, love the way that they rounded it off by going back to that sort of, I guess you call it riff. In punk, you don't really have riffs. You just have like a series of 4 power chord notes that you play in quick succession. That's a punk riff. I love the way they went back to that at the end and then finished it right on the last note with her falling through I don't know how that worked. I didn't quite pick up what they were saying at the end. I picked up a little bit, but I was trying to work out whether that was arranged to happen. I mean, obviously it was arranged to happen on some level, but how exactly they worked it out. And also, like, if you watch the slow motion bit they show again, when she falls down, the others kind of notice it. They notice that she's falling, but then they turn away and they keep on walking. That's professionalism in the face of a video. Oh, one of us is down. Keep going. No time to go back for the fallen. So that was cool. The video as well, nice start. I mean, like I say, for people who are long-term followers of the channel, well, especially, like I say, before we closed down and had to restart everything, you guys remember the original Cardboard Palace, the bit where they're walking across the crossing, where I mentioned it was in Akihabara, and you can see the train bridge in the distance. That is like right outside of Cardboard Palace, like, just a couple of streets over, well, a couple of blocks at most, and we're talking small Tokyo-style blocks here. So that was really cool to see. They were in Asakusa at one point, in a place where I used to work, which was really cool, in a place I used to walk every day around Akihabara. I've been around Akihabara for the last 12 years, almost off and on. So a lot of nice memories in there for me as well. I thought it was just, the whole thing was well produced. Had a real sense of fun, real sense of rage, real sense of colour. Just everything was brilliant. So yeah, I was really happy to listen to that. Like I say, if you see it in the context of their wider discography, then that's brilliant. If you see it, if it's the first BiSH song you've ever heard to, or one of the first, then I can understand why maybe it wouldn't do anything for you. But in context, I think that benefits. Rather ironic, considering I'm assuming it's one of their first songs that they released as a video. Anyway, for now, thank you so much for making it through to the end of this video. And I really appreciate now if you can get in the comments and tell me what you think, whether you be a fan of them or not, whether you know this song before or not. Tell me what you think in the comments so we can start a nice discussion about that. And I'm looking forward also, if you could like and subscribe and maybe join us for more conversations on the Discord and Reddit, which are also linked in the description below, as well as my Facebook and Twitter and the Patreon, because the Patreon people keep on the channel going and they keep it alive and everyone's happy and yay! So guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully soon, like I say. And until then, for now, ciao, ciao.